Eurasia is the combined continental landmass of Europe and Asia. The term is a portmanteau of its two constituents. Located primarily in the northern and eastern hemispheres, it is bordered by the Atlantic Ocean on the west, the Pacific Ocean to the east, the Arctic Ocean on the north, and by Africa, the Mediterranean Sea, the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean to the south. The division between Europe and Asia as two different continents is a historical and cultural construct, with no clear physical separation between them. Thus, in some parts of the world, Eurasia is recognized as the largest of 5 or 6 continents. Eurasia covers around 55 million square kilometers, or around 36.2% of the Earth's total land area. The landmass contains around 5.0 billion people, equating to approximately 70% of the human population. Humans first settled in Eurasia between 60,000 and 125,000 years ago. Some island countries, including the United Kingdom, Japan, and Indonesia, are included under the popular definition of Eurasia, in spite of being separate from the massive landmass. Overview. Physiographically, Eurasia is a single continent. The concepts of Europe and Asia as distinct continents date back to antiquity, and the borders are geologically arbitrary, with the Ural and Caucasus ranges being the main delimiters between the two. Eurasia is connected to Africa at the Suez Canal, and Eurasia is sometimes combined with Africa as the supercontinent Afro-Eurasia. Due to the vast landmass and differences in latitude, Eurasia exhibits all types of climate under the Köppen classification, including the harshest types of hot and cold temperatures, high and low precipitation, and various types of nature. History. Eurasia has been the host of many ancient civilizations, including those based in Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley and China. In the Axial Age was formed a continuous belt of civilizations stretching through the Eurasian subtropical zone from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This belt became the mainstream of world history for 2 millennia. Historian Max Ostrovsky demonstrates that in the medieval time this belt shifted northward due to climatic changes, and in the modern time it penetrated to the temperate New World to become the industrial North. Originally, however, the industrial North was the great civilizational belt formed in the Axial Age Eurasia. Through this belt passed the famous Silk Road, which symbolizes trade and cultural exchange linking Eurasian cultures through history and has been an increasingly popular topic. Over recent decades, the idea of a greater Eurasian history has developed with the aim of investigating the genetic, cultural and linguistic relationships between European and Asian cultures of antiquity, which had long been considered distinct. Geology. Eurasia formed 375 to 325 million years ago with the merging of Siberia, Kazakhstania, and Baltica, which was joined to Laurentia, now North America, to form Euramerica. Chinese cratons collided with Siberia's southern coast. Geopolitics. Originally, Eurasia is a geographical notion. In this sense, it is simply the biggest continent, the combined landmass of Europe and Asia. However, geopolitically, the word has several different meanings, reflecting the specific geopolitical interests of each nation. Eurasia is one of the most important geopolitical concepts, as Zbigniew Brzezinski observed. Ever since the continents started interacting politically, some 500 years ago, Eurasia has been the center of world power. A power that dominates Eurasia would control 2 of the world's 3 most advanced and economically productive regions. A mere glance at the map also suggests that control over Eurasia would almost automatically entail Africa's subordination, rendering the Western Hemisphere and Oceania geopolitically peripheral to the world's central continent. About 75% of the world's people live in Eurasia, and most of the world's physical wealth is there as well, both in its enterprises and underneath its soil. Eurasia accounts for about 3/4 of the world's known energy resources, in the widest possible sense. The geopolitical definition of Eurasia is consistent with its geographical area. This is sometimes the way the word is understood in countries located at the fringes of, or outside, this area, and it is generally what is meant by Eurasia in political circles in the USA, Japan and India. In Western Europe, when political scientists talk about Eurasia, they generally mean Russia integrated into Europe, economically, politically, and even militarily. Since Napoleon, European strategists have understood the importance of allying with Russia, and the potential consequences of failing to do so. At the moment, one of the most prominent projects of European Union is Russia-EU Four Common Spaces Initiative, a political and economic union of former Soviet states named the Eurasian Union is scheduled for establishment in 2015. Similar in concept to the European Union. As of 2014, neither encompasses all states within Eurasia. The Russian concept of Eurasia is very different from the European one. It is a view that has older roots than the European one, not surprisingly, considering Russia's geographic position. Russian politologists traditionally view Russia itself, being both European and Asian, as Eurasian. The geopolitical area of the Russian concept of Eurasia corresponded initially more or less to the land area of Imperial Russia in 1914, including parts of Eastern Europe. There is undeniably an influence of pan-Slavism in this definition. Originally, the idea of Eurasia was more romantically rooted in natural geography. It was the idea that the people scattered across the land called Eurasia shared common spiritual values due to its geographic traits, such as a flat land with few coastlines but important rivers, a particular climate, and a certain landscape. The idea was more or less realized, but with difficulty, during the last phases of the Russian Empire, and was then realized again with the Soviet Union after 1945, though not stably enough for enduring success. Today, though this Russian geopolitical interest still exists, the physical area of the Russian Eurasia is now more realistically assessed. The Russian view today is that Eurasia consists of the land lying between Europe and Asia proper, namely, those made up of Western and Central Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, part of Caucasus, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Just as in the case of the European concept of Eurasia, the Russian version of Eurasia is a geopolitical interest that underpins foreign policy in that part of the world. Thus, it is not surprising that today one of Russia's main geopolitical interests lies in ever closer integration with those countries that it considers part of Eurasia. Every 2 years since 1996, a meeting of most Asian and European countries is organized as the Asia-Europe meeting. Use of term. History of the Europe and Asia division. In ancient times, the Greeks classified Europe and Asia as separate lands. Where to draw the dividing line between the two regions is still a matter of discussion, especially whether the Kumar-Menich Depression or the Caucasus Mountains form the southeast boundary is disputed, since Mount Elbrus would be part of Europe in the latter case, making it Europe's highest mountain. Most accepted is probably the boundary, as defined by Philip Johann von Strahlenberg in the 18th century. He defined the dividing line along the Aegean Sea, Dardanelles, Sea of Marmara, Bosphorus, Black Sea, Kumar-Menich Depression, Caspian Sea, Ural River, and Ural Mountains. Anthropology and genetics in modern usage. The term Eurasian is a demonym, usually meaning of or relating to Eurasia, or a native or inhabitant of Eurasia. The term Eurasian is also used to describe people of combined Asian and European descent. West or Western Eurasia is a loose geographic definition used in some disciplines, such as genetics or anthropology, to refer to the region inhabited by the relatively homogeneous population of West Asia and Europe. The people of this region are sometimes described collectively as West or Western Eurasians. Geography located primarily in the eastern and northern hemispheres, Eurasia is considered a supercontinent, part of the supercontinent of Afro-Eurasia, or simply a continent in its own right. In plate tectonics, the Eurasian plate includes Europe and most of Asia but not the Indian subcontinent, the Arabian Peninsula or the area of the Russian Far East east of the Chersky Range. Post-Soviet countries. Eurasia is also sometimes used in geopolitics to refer to organizations of or affairs concerning the post-Soviet states, in particular, Russia, the Central Asian republics, and the Transcaucasian republics. A prominent example of this usage is in the name of the Eurasian Economic Community, the organization including Kazakhstan, Russia, and some of their neighbors, and, headquartered in Moscow, Russia, and Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan. The word Eurasia is often used in Kazakhstan to describe its location. Numerous Kazakh institutions have the term in their names, like the L.N. Gumilev Eurasian National University, the Eurasian Media Forum, the Eurasian Cultural Foundation, the Eurasian Development Bank, and the Eurasian Bank. In 2007, Kazakhstan's president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, proposed building Eurasia Canal to connect the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea via Russia's Kumarmenich Depression in order to provide Kazakhstan and other Caspian Basin countries with a more efficient path to the ocean than the existing Volga-Don Canal. This usage is comparable to how Americans use Western Hemisphere to describe concepts and organizations dealing with the Americas.